What's going on, gamers? Just got home, man. The sun cooked me a bit too as we were out for the memorial. Thank you all for the support. We got an interesting video here to cover regarding the PlayStation 6 pricing and what Sony plans to do and how we're going to evaluate this in the most intelligent manner, right? And how much it costs now to make a PlayStation 6 because of the RAM cartel compared to before. Did it go up $100? No, more than that. Become a member, leave a tip down below. Let's get into this. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the hype button. Shinobi says, Sony says it doesn't intend to sell hardware. And guys, once you think about this, learn how to read things right. It doesn't intend to sell hardware at significant losses as a principle. We can stop right here. So what this means is that Sony cannot afford, PlayStation is now 60% of the Sony company. They can't afford to sell at a significant loss. Now, you'll probably see somebody like an Xbox fanboy or somebody else take this farther than it should be, or a PC fanboy that's insecure. The key word here is significant losses, saying that if it's $1,000, I'm not giving you a significant discount, but I'm still going to sell at a loss. Historically, we've always done this. So PlayStation is still going to sell at a loss. We'll make up for it probably by monetizing or somewhere else. That's what they're basically saying here. So if the PlayStation 5 is $1,000, Sony is going to try to sell it at $800. But they're not going to sell it at like $700 or $650. That's a significant loss. But they're going to try something like that. So the thing is here is Sony's still saying that we're still going to subsidize a bit, but we're not going to subsidize significantly. Microsoft said we're not subsidizing at all. You see what I mean? That's the difference here. Sony realizes how important PlayStation is in the gaming industry and how they need PS6 to be successful. So the key word here is significant losses as a principle, but is monitoring the market with PlayStation 6 in mind, meaning that we're looking at the market. We know we can't take a significant loss. We got to find a balance here. PlayStation 6 needs to be successful. These games are only going to be on PlayStation 6. If we're going to have a PlayStation 6 ecosystem and extend that out with the handheld, which is what they're going to do. That's going to be the PlayStation ecosystem, like I explained, just like what Valve is trying to do, except they're in a way worse situation because they don't move a lot of hardware like that. So Sony is monitoring the market, and right now they're analyzing how and what they want to do with the PS6. How am I going to approach the market? What am I going to do about the price? And when am I going to launch it? Right? Because the key word of mouth lately is a lot of people are figuring out that if this price of the RAM cartel monopoly does not go down and it gets worse in 2027, there's no point of delaying the PlayStation 6 into 2028. Because if it's going to get more expensive, you might as well do that now. Or if there's a chance for the bubble popping in 2028, delay it out of 2027 and then see if that happens. That's the thing. We have to really see how insane this gets. I was reading an article, and I'm going to do another video about this, that they may be getting sued for trying to monopolize, and that China may also be involved in this secretly without you even knowing when it comes to feeding semiconductors. Yeah, interesting stuff. As a principle, we do not intend to sell hardware at significant losses. They never said we're not selling at a loss. That's at significant. At the same time, we're carefully monitoring the market and continue to evaluate our approach. We believe it is important for us to make every effort to ensure that customers fully understand the value we provide in relation to pricing. Now, here's something that I know that somebody could probably want to criticize, because it's like, yeah, it's not going to be cheap. So remember, we're going to make sure that you understand the value that you're getting if it's going to be something like $800 and this market crash doesn't happen. The AI bubble feed. Without a doubt, they're saying that right there. But the key word here is that, yeah, we're going to have to sell at a loss. PlayStation 6 cannot fail. Sony's going to have to figure out something. You see what I mean? Xbox Helix, Microsoft could delay that, cancel it, can it? Doesn't really matter because the majority of Microsoft has nothing to do with gaming. All they do is kill it, and whatever's left over, they're stumping it, and they just want to get their money back, and they're not subsidizing at all. They've already provided enough and spent enough money out of the non-Xbox pool from the Microsoft Corporation, and they're done doing that. That's why you see that freezing going on at Game Pass. You see hardware not going down. It's actually going to go up again, most likely, and they don't care. And they're cutting back on production and manufacturing. Sony's never going to do that because Microsoft's going to go feed AI. Sony's not doing it like that. They don't have that much money like that to say, all right, we're going to be one of the top dogs in the entire industry on the stock market and be $1 trillion company and invest heavily into AI worlds. Like, nah, no. They work totally different in that stratosphere. Going down, Dan says, if they thought PS4 gen was long, the PS5 gen will be longer. Well, here's the thing. If Sony has to delay it out an extra year and a half, let's say if it was 2027, late, and they had to delay it into like early 2029, I wouldn't mind that if they got the pricing right. Because I think PlayStation 5 can last that long. Just don't screw up your generation by doing things the wrong way. Just depends on how the market is and how they adjust. So I understand this statement. This is not necessarily a bad statement. Bring PlayStation back home. It says, hold on to your hardware for dear life. Prices are about to keep going up. I don't think Sony wants to raise the price of PlayStation anymore this year. I think they already hit their peak. They're, like I said, they're not in a Microsoft position. It's going to be different. This guy says, so the Sony fanboys who swear the PS6 will be $850 are going to be in for a rude awakening. No, people were saying 700, 650. But after lately, we already know it's going to be up to the 700 plus bracket, regardless. Maybe 800. But I don't think Sony's going to go that far past that. It's hilarious how people are so terrible at detecting patterns or foolish enough to think a company is good in nature. You mean Xbox fanboys? Because I find it funny you talk about Sony fanboys. Please don't tell me, oh, wait, you may be a PC fanboy or an Xbox fanboy, because only y'all think like that. Sony has the numbers. Sony has an isolated player base. Why do they need to eat profits? What? Now, you know why nobody paid attention to this post. It is better for Sony to keep making cross-generation games so you never truly get to experience the potential of your new hardware until it's time to upgrade. That's the thing. Technology is so good now, and engines are scalable. Capcom already proved that with Pragmata, Resident Evil 9, and any other next-gen game that came out on Switch, that if you don't design the game for the hardware, you can make the engine scalable and then just go down to the lowest denominator. That doesn't matter anymore. PS6 is going to have to be a lot more than just next-generation graphics. Everybody knows this now. So, no, that's not going to work. You don't know what you're talking about. It still feels like we barely scratched the surface of what the PS5 can do. I don't know about that. You kind of get an idea, but this generation can last another 2 years for sure. I have no problem with that. They said significant loss. They didn't say no loss. See, this is a guy that understands what I'm talking about, that they're still going to take a loss. And it's always been like that historically. So there's nothing wrong with doing something you've always done, but maybe just a little bit more and make up for it in another category. You've got the microtransaction, idle vampirism, support to do that, Sony. So yeah, do that. Delay into 2030. Nobody wants it. Nobody except PlayStation-centric YouTubers. I'd say 2029 is probably pushing it at the highest degree. Now, here's the thing, guys. This is where we get other ideas here, and I want to go down and show you guys something. We got two things here. Let's start off with post right here by Yo, or Pia. Rumor, the PS6 cost was $760. Let's say if Sony did get a lot of PlayStation 6s to be able to make for that. And ever since the memory prices have been manipulated, apparently now it's around $1,000 to make a PlayStation 6. Things are expected to get much worse in 2027. Insane timeline. No need for next gen. So basically what he's saying is that if you, this is what I was talking about before, even if you did, let's say you did delay it out of 2027 because you were hoping that the market got better in 2028. If it didn't, then it doesn't matter if you delay it into 2028, because if the prices are still the same, you should launch things aligned. Or, like I said, wait until 2029 and launch it. But you still got to get parts before you mass manufacture. You see what I mean? It's really a difficult situation right now for the whole entire industry. That's why I say that if anything, I think those RAM cartels, like over in South Korea, Samsung, SK, Micron, and anybody that's involved with that needs to be monitored under the law and needs to be sued. Like that's I think what was going on recently, and they need to be in trouble for this because this is diabolical and it's going way too far. They need to be held accountable for this, and somebody needs to check them. If not, I don't know what to tell you, because it's dumb. Like when you think about it costing that much, and if Sony wanted to subsidize, you could possibly get it for $650. With this, they're going to have to subsidize more and put it down to $800. You see what I'm saying? That's when you could have believed $650. That would have been no problem. Now it has to go from 650 to 800. You can't argue with it because you realize that you just need to subsidize more because this is not reasonable for the beginning of a generation historically. Nobody in their right mind would say that. You see what I'm saying? We don't need the PS6 anytime soon. And a lot of people are saying this. I agree. We could wait all the way till late 2028 or early 2029 or summer 2029. Exactly. Nintendo launched in summer. Look how long they waited for the Switch to Switch 2. And it ended up being fine. We don't care. Let's enjoy the current games. So many people are saying this. The argument is, though, that it'll only get more expensive. So do they shoot when it's 1,000? Do they wait another year and potentially be 1,500? Very risky. But I don't think that I agree with him. The factors I think will make it cheaper later on. I don't think that this is going to hold. I think that that's just a phobia that we have and that they want you to think that so that you can keep spending on overpriced products to begin with. You see what I'm saying? So think about that. And then we have Moore's Law where he says, oh no, let's hold on. He says, one more thing about PS6 launching in 2027. The actual primary reason for not delaying the console is because 2027 is when the price preference will be the best regardless of the price. Let's say RAM prices drop. Great. Now we have a super powerful console for $600. Okay, let's say RAM prices skyrocket and Sony has to sell it for $850 without disk drive. Whatever. 2027 is still going to be the year of AMD RDNA 5. Even at an elevated pricing, that's the year it looks the least overpriced before the new GPUs come out. From the RTX 6000 series, which is coming from NVIDIA. Prices go up, prices go down. It doesn't matter. The PS6 will be at its best price performance when its tech is new. Oh yeah, because any PC is in that ballpark with that type of technology is going to cost you $2,000 something. Definitely a laptop, easily. Whether that's an $849 or $600. For those who want to see the tech inside the PlayStation 6, take a look at that post where he was saying. And I get what he's trying to say, but even then, from a console standpoint, people want affordability. But yeah, he says it's surprising how many gamers are ludits. The PS3 sold for $600 in 2006. Once you factor in inflation, I can't get with inflation. That's $995 in 2026. That PlayStation 6 will still be $1,000 in 2027. It would suck, but they can always drop prices. The PS3 was also $299 in 2009 after Sony redesigned it and became the company they are today that focuses on price performance with Mark Cerny in charge. Adjusting to inflation, that's $464 today. What's actually surprising is how many keyboard warriors rely on a single data point to try and sound smart. I get what he's saying. But that's the thing. So guys, we've pretty much evaluated all the situations here about how the market could possibly get better or will it get worse. I don't think they can keep the market like this. I think that somebody's going to challenge them on the higher power aspects and authorities in the industry, and they need to be checked because this is stupid. And all you're going to do is hurt the fiscal results of all these companies in the electronic industry. Nobody's going to want to be able to buy anything. Nobody's going to want to go for the renting cloud service like you think. I'm telling you, you're going to be the next Game Pass, but even worse. Keep the prices down. Stop being retarded when it comes to this RAM monopoly and SSD. Don't be dumb. Like, this stuff needs to go down $200. PlayStation $749 to make it is absolutely amazing when you think about what it would take to make a PC right now for that. Man, you're going in the $2,000 range. It's insane. And that's why I say that consoles actually have the advantage, and I think a lot of people are insecure about that now because there's no huge base across the world that has PS6 specs right now. That's like under 5%, maybe lower than that. You see what I mean? So what that's going to do is it's going to set the bar for people to be required to have a much more powerful PC to play those games. If you did, we're still getting their exclusive. Think about it. You got to apply that to the Xbox games too, because they're supposed to be making next-gen games. So you're going to need powerful rigs regardless. And if the prices don't go down, everybody gets screwed over. So let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below. As usual, like I said, Sony has to take this very serious because it needs to be incredibly successful. Xbox Helix, it doesn't really matter. Later, y'all.